How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Blue Shifting, and the music does not match the mood I'm in right now because, so someone died. Our friend died, and he died in a really, really disturbing way. Apparent suicide by clawing own throat. Very strange. I've been trying to speculate about what it could be, and even in the comments, I kind of talked about it a little bit, and it's bizarre because the only circumstances I can think of that would allow you to even be capable of doing that to yourself would be to, essentially break the mental safety checks that keep you from harming yourself too much, which I would assume would require substantial interference from a drug, but they didn't see anything. So the best running theory I've got, besides the enigmas, it's actually a real curse, would actually be that it's some kind of chemical that just isn't easily traceable, that caused him to hallucinate. Then the group that was attacking him was enhancing this hallucination with the actual attacks. The attacks themselves weren't enough to actually take him out of the picture, but whatever happened or whatever was happening, I don't think he could see what was actually going on, and it led him to just take things too far. So yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out and what's going on and who's involved, and it's all just really disturbing because it's implying that our friends could have been involved somehow, which is crazy. So yeah, let's just jump right in and see how it goes, right? Can't possibly go too wrong, or this early, right? Alright, here we go. Sleepy.
Keiichi-kun, でっかいあくび。
I'm usually awake once it's time to eat, but it doesn't look like I can do it today.
ゆうべ遅くまでテレビ見てたら眠くて。
Yeah, I know how that feels.
ケイちゃんが喜びそうな番組なんかやってたっけ?
Yeah, no. Probably anime.
月千番でございますわ。
ちょっと待て、勝手に想像して決めつけるんじゃねえ。
They're so animated.
男の子なら当然です。恥ずかしくないですよ。
That's weird for you to be saying. Rika not patting my head only made me feel worse.
ちょっとこの昼休みは爆睡させてくれ。いや、ほんとマジで。
あら、私が黙って見過ごすとお思いで。
It's your own fault. You're weak today. We're gonna take advantage of it.
邪魔したら怒る。すごい怒る。
No, here's easy pickings, man. This was just dreadful. Just so sleepy. I slumped my head onto my desk and drifted into an afternoon nap. It seemed that Satoko had responded, but I pretended not to hear.
さとこちゃんやめなよ。ケイチくん寝ちゃった。寝顔かいい。後でお持ち帰りしていいから、そっとしときな。向こうへ移動しましょうです。
That's actually very sweet of them. They're actually gonna let him get some sleep.
ケイチにうるさいと悪いですよ。
Rika-chan really is a good girl.
先生が来ても起こさないであげましょうです。
I take that back. The excuse I didn't sleep much last night because I was watching TV was a lie. I was in bed at the usual time, but because of the conversation with Oishi-san that afternoon, I didn't get much sleep. Just spending the day like this is almost as if the incident with Toмотake-san didn't happen at all. It made me think, was Oishi just trying to deceive me? But it was probably the truth. One thing was certain, I couldn't speak to anyone about it. He wanted my assistance, but I really didn't know anything about it. If I knew I wasn't going to be of any help, I probably wouldn't have listened in the first place. I ended up with me, again, regretting learning something I didn't need to know. If I had never learned about it, I would without a doubt be goofing off with the rest of them right now. I couldn't help but resent Oishi-san for this. Yeah, it's I get the strategy. I think I talked about that before, that the strategy that the Oishi, the investigator, did makes sense, but it's really cruel to be roping in like a kid into this. I understand he has no choice because Keiichi could become a critical witness if one of his friends lets some details slip about what I think the investigator is thinking the parents are involved. So maybe Mion will say something and we'll go to him, and it will be pivotal evidence that he'll need. So I get the necessity, but it still feels like cruel to even get him involved in this.
それっていつから？もう次の日にはいなかったって。
I think they're talking about him, Tomatake-san.
綿流しの晩に失踪したらしいよ。
Mion whispered to keep the others from listening, but I could hear it clearly. On the other hand, Rena's voice was even harder to pick up, but I could still tell that she was quite upset. It couldn't be. Are they talking about Tomatake-san?
さん、けなの？わかんない。私の知る限りではね。
I would have to feign ignorance about this topic because I needed to keep it a secret. Rather than waking up and being forced to lie to join the conversation, it was much easier just to sit here and pretend I was asleep and listen in on their conversation. Wait, why did I have to pretend to be asleep while eavesdropping on my friend's conversation? The guilt stung. I get it. I don't know if I've ever had to be super deceitful. I think the closest to deceitful with somebody like in a situation similar to this was I am still kind of ashamed of it, honestly. There was somebody so it's complicated. So in high school, I had a crush on somebody, and I knew somebody who was in a few of the clubs I was in who also had a crush on the same person. And I know that they kind of had a connection, though it never became anything. I don't know how close it was to becoming something, because, it's not like I was like privy to their their personal lives. But I knew enough to know he had a crush on and was pursuing the person I had a crush on. And I couldn't really do much about that, obviously. But what happened was, at one point we were hanging out, like me and this guy who, so we had the kind of love triangle thing going, but it wasn't really love triangle. It's like a crush triangle. We were hanging out at a party with a bunch of other people, and eventually, I can't remember why, but for some reason we both ended up walking outside. I think he was going home, and I decided to leave around the same time, and I was going in a similar direction, so we just walked together. And it's not like we did spend time together. Like I said, we shared clubs and stuff. We were walking, and we were chatting, and inadvertently, he started asking me questions, and he started asking me for advice, which was a very weirdly common thing for me. I think I just have a trustworthy kind of demeanor than people felt. I seem very approachable, apparently. And so he started asking me for advice, and he specifically was asking me for advice. He was keeping it vague, but I kind of figured out he was essentially asking for advice on how to, essentially tactfully confess his feelings. And I was like, there's a really good chance that he's actually thinking about applying this to the person I like. But the thing is, I knew that person pretty well. We were very close friends. This girl I had a crush on, we were very close. And I knew a lot about her and what she liked. And so he's asking me for advice, and it's fairly generally stated, but I knew at the time he was pursuing and was interested in her. I think they'd been I'm pretty sure I was right, because a week later he asked her out on a very casual but first date. And I specifically gave him really, really terrible advice for the individual, for this girl. I was able to say it in a way because for some people, the stuff I was saying would work great. But I knew it wouldn't work for her. To give example, she was very confident, independent type person. She really didn't like the tropes or being she didn't like the idea of being treated like a princess or excessive chivalry. She liked the idea of being seen as an equal to the guys around her, and even in a relationships. She obviously, relationships are give and take, but she wasn't really enamored with the traditional girl role or the girl perspectives on things. It's hard to explain it. It's I guess the easiest way to summarize it is she was kind of tomboyish. Not full on tomboy, but very tomboyish. And I just kind of gave him really terrible advice for her. And I don't know, I think they went on a couple little dates, but I don't think it went anywhere after that. Because then he started pursuing somebody else. And I don't know if I had much of a hand in that at all, or if my advice really did kind of keep things on a really shaky ground for the two of them. But I feel bad because he kind of just reached out to me as a friend and was trusting me to share and give good advice and good counsel. And just my opinion on stuff. And I specifically attempted to sabotage him. Whether it worked or not, I don't think it would have mattered in the big picture, but I still feel like I kind of stabbed him in the back and he had no idea. And I think at the end of the conversation, like we were parting ways, he kind of looked at me, he says like, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this. I didn't know if I could talk to anybody else. And it was just like, ooh, what did I do? Luckily, I never did anything like that ever again. I think even if I'd been approached again by him for the same topic, I think I wouldn't have done that again because I just felt awful.
他にもいるんでしょ?
There are others, right?
彼女がたたりにあったのか、鬼隠しにあったのかはわかんないけどね。
Onikakushi? Onikakushi. To be hidden away by a demon? What a mysterious phrase. I did, however, get the feeling it meant nothing good.
いや、何せよ。もう一人いるんだよね。
Onikakushi, hidden away by a demon. So I wondered that's like the distinction they make. If it's the curse, which is like, well, that was random, or Onikakushi, which is where like a devil or demon inside like a person did something like of their own volition. I wonder.
だよね。お社様ならね。
Oyashiro-sama's, yeah.
でも今年は出ないよ。バッチャと村長さんが話してたんだけどさ、今年は事前に警察と話がつけてあるらしいんだよ。
Okay.
何が起こっても騒ぎにしないで穏便に片付けるって。じゃあ、レナたちが知らないだけで、どこかで誰かがかもしれないってこと？
So this conversation's really making it feel like they weren't involved, which is what I was really concerned about. Of course, it could be a red herring, but it does feel like they're hearing things, but not that they actually did anything.
かもね。次はレナかな。安心しなよ。レナはちゃんと帰ってきたよ。でも、ダメだったんでしょ？昔の話だよ。もうやめよう、この話。
Amidst that uncomfortable mood, both of them went silent. The entirety of the conversation was still a bit unclear, but a few parts caught my attention. First of all, the term Onikakushi. To be demoned away, by the context it was used in, it would guess it was similar to being spirited away. I suspected that's what it meant because Tomatake-san and the woman, it really bugged me that I didn't know her name, vanished after Watanagashi. The next thing that stuck out to me was when I said, there's another one, right? Mion also said, if it's Oyashiro-sama's, yeah, responding to something. If it's Oyashiro-sama's curse, then there'd have to be two victims, and is that what she meant? Come to think of it, I remember Mion saying at the beginning that they didn't know if it was from the curse or if it was a case of Onikakushi. It seemed that the curse was being demoned away were different things, and they were phenomena that were paired together. I recall Tomatake-san's terrible end. That wasn't something as elegant as disappearing. That horrendous end would be described as a curse. Then the woman with him, it means she vanished because she was demoned away. Oh, kind of like the spouse, right? The spouse of the priest, like she just vanished in the swamp. What I do know is that there's normally an even number of victims if the curse is proper. And the last point that bothered me was Rena. Rena was frightened. For what reason, I didn't know. However, she knew that something had made her a potential target for Oyashiro-sama's curse. If I recalled correctly, Oyashiro-sama should be the guardian deity of Hinamizawa. Isn't a guardian deity supposed to defend the citizens and drive out invaders? If I recall correctly, yesterday, Oishi-san said that originally the targets were enemies of the village, but recently there was no longer any distinction between them or regular outsiders. But if that were the case, then I would think that I'd be more likely to target, having moved here more recently than Rena. From her composure, I could infer that she was grimly certain that she would be next. I should probably relay what I heard just now to Oishi. I informing the police of what I'd heard by eavesdropping on my friends while pretending to be asleep. It made me feel terrible. It raised a few questions and left me with a bad taste in my mouth. Would it be better not to seek the answers to those questions? As I continued to learn more and more, I felt like I'd fallen past the point of no return. You keep saying that, but every time you learn something new, you regret it. There's a pattern here. I still think you should investigate because this is like too important. But I also understand, like, if you're going to be waffling, you should just stop. I would definitely regret this one day. I would definitely regret ever having learned of these events. Oh, the juxtaposition is so awful. It's like, let's go back to happy music. In the distance, I could hear the ring of a handbell signaling the start of afternoon classes. Ugh, I couldn't sleep at all. I hastily opened my eyes and raised my head up. It was in that moment when I leaned against the back of my seat. Oh no. There was a thumbtack stuck to the back of my chair with tape. Circumstantial evidence was enough. Guilty without trial. Capital punishment. I furiously jumped up out of my seat. And I tripped as my feet were tangled up. Oh, he should have seen that coming. She, of course, messed with him so badly. My shoelaces had been tied together.
やるじゃねえか、サトコ！俺が寝ている間に気配を消してこれだけの上等をやってくれるんだよ。
The teacher came in right as I was about to pull off my shoes and tackle Satoko.
先生が来ましたよ、ケイチさん。着席遊ばせ。
Clomp, clomp. Not caring one bit, it made her ear a flick to the forehead. It made her eat a flick to the forehead. Hey, I'm sorry.
前原くん、下級生をいじめてはいけません。謝りなさい。
You little punk. There, where is it? There we go. Look at that. That demon face here, and the teacher behind her to keep her in the power. I saw Satoko stick her tongue out at me, that little brat.
ほら、前原くん。
へい、謝りますよ。サトコさん、ごめんなさい。
In any case, I apologized, even if I was in a completely insincere tone of voice. Darn her, I'll remember this.
ケイちゃん、その恨みは部活でね。着席。
I sat down after Mion told me to. She switched to class representative mode. Oh, that was fun. Still, the jarring change of tone. It almost hurts. With the boring classes finished, school is finally over for the day. Now then, what should we do for our club today? Personally, I would like to play that deduction game one more time. I was hardly able to play it last time because of Oishi-san. Ren and I weren't even able to test our strategy.
そうだね。今日こそケイチくんと二人で大勝利だよね。
That kind of gives it away, though.
でもどうでしょうね。同じゲームを続けて2日やった試しはありませんし。ミーにお願いしてみたらどうでしょうです。
Mion looked over her shoulder as we made eye contact. She slowly tapped her palm with her fist and her face suddenly lit up.
いっけね。今日おじさんの手伝いの日だ。
Why?
悪いみんな、今日なし。
おじさんの手伝い？柄にもなく高校なやつだな。
悪い。ほんとすっかり忘れてた。じゃあごめんねみんな。
Helping him.
今日はおじさんこれで帰るわ。
Can help your uncle do what? Get rid of a body? Mion left us and rushed off to the exit after snatching up her bag.
みーちゃんね、たまに街にあるおじさんのお店の手伝いに行くんだよ。
Ah, I thought she wasn't the type to get caught up in such bothersome stuff.
バイト代が出ると言ってましたですわ。
Ah, yeah, that would do it.
結構なお小遣いになるらしいですの。
I see. She was able to pay for that mountain of games with what she saved up from there.
しかしそれはアルバイトと言うんじゃないのか？校則で禁止されてないか？
家事手伝いは除くと書いてありますです。
It's like in a fine line. That's what she's calling it. So what now? Pass on the club today? No.
じゃあ今日はこれで解散かな。
Why can't the four of us play something?
別に部長不在でもいいだろう。やろうぜ、部活。
I opened the club locker and began searching for the deduction game from that ever-growing pile of games.
お、あった。昨日の推理ゲーム。ようやくコツが分かってきたところで中断しちゃったからな。
At the very least, I wanted to repay Satoko for what she did during the afternoon break.
私は構いませんけど、レナさんとリカはどういたします？ ケイチくんがどうしてもって言うならちょっとだけいいかな。
It's like, so you wouldn't want to play games with us normally?
僕はみんなが揃っての方がいいなと思いますです。
She said it like that, huh?
部活がないなら僕はお買い物に行きたかったのです。お醤油とかを買いに行きますですよ。あ、そうでしたわね。すっかり忘れてましたわ。ならレナも久しぶりに宝探しに行こうかな。
What's this now? Everyone's no longer in the mood for club activities. But I don't know, if I were there and I heard even like another person saying, like I was kind of hoping I would be able to do this, I'd be like, alright, fine, we'll just stop for today. If I kept on trying to push the matter, it may make them realize I tricked up my sleeve. Ah well, I'll give up this time.
ちぇ、このゲーム楽しみにしていたのにな。
I shuffled through the cards as if I was still caught up on it.
またの機会に叩きのめして差し上げましたよ。
犯人はサトコ、凶器はピストル。やはり貴様の仕業だったか。
なんですって？じゃあ
Satoko looked through the cards on the desk and stuck out 3 of them at me.
犯人はケイチ。凶器はロープで犯行現場はラウンジですわ。
ロープなんかいらねえ。このまま絞め殺してやら。
いやー、ケイチさんの毛玉な。
Whew! Well, I guess it's good I got that out of my system.
ケイチさん、覚えてらっしゃい。いっぱいいっぱいいたぶられましたですね。かわいそうかわいそうです。かいかい。
Everyone got ready to go back home. I also helped gather up the scattered cards. I suddenly paused. They were just the suspect cards, but I noticed something strange. Rena, Satoko, Rika, Keiichi, Mion, Satoshi. Who's Satoshi? Satoshi? Not all the cards were made by us. Or at least every card beside this one had the name of a club member. Does this mean that Satoshi fellow is a club member? Was there someone in class named Satoshi? Well, it could have been someone who graduated. Couldn't find anyone named Satoshi on the class roster stuck up on the wall.
ケイチくん、早く片付けよう。
Being rushed by Rena, I finished up quickly. Satoko and Rika-chan had already headed merrily for their lockers, so we were the only ones left in the classroom. Right now, Rena had already gotten her bag and was ready to leave.
レナ、やっぱりこのクラスからも転校で出て行っちゃった生徒って結構いるんだろ？
I tried asking Rena in a bit of a roundabout way. Rena made a troubled face and then answered.
うん。ひなみざわって田舎でしょ？
Right.
転校していっちゃう人も時々いるよ。
じゃあ、このサトシってやつも転校してったのか？
ごめん。よく知らないの。
There was a bit of a pause, but the answer was pretty much immediate.
その、意地悪で言ってるんじゃないの。ちょうど去年、レナが転校してきてから入れ替わりだったかな。だからあんまりお話ししたことないの。
Okay.
ごめんね。
But you heard the name, so that's something. Yeah, it could have been transfer out. It could have been... Like, that's the thing. It's like, a transfer out makes sense. Graduated makes sense. There's a lot of explanations that don't have to lead to murder. I'm not sure, sorry. Her answer was a lot like what she refused to tell me about the murder at the dam. I was saddened by her denial, and I felt a little bit of anger. I'm their friend, aren't I? Friends don't keep secrets from their friends, do they? You're keeping the pot calling kettle black, I think. Though I do appreciate that they kept that unsettling curse thing from me. But if everyone worried about it, I'd rather be worried with them. That's what it means to be friends, right? For a moment, I wondered just what kind of face I was making just then with these mixed feelings of sadness and annoyance.
ケイチくん、怖い顔してる。なんでだろう。なんでだろう。
It's probably exactly the kind of face Rena said it was. It appeared my grim expression frightened her.
あ、ごめん。今日の部活、楽しみにしてたからさ。残念だっただけだよ。
Oh, well, decent excuse. I rustled Rena's hair.
帰ろうぜ。
Dragging that awkward mood with us, we headed home. So sad. Even if they aren't, because like if they aren't involved at all, it's already like The suspicion is forming rifts already. That's depressing. Wonder why. Why have I been getting this dumb feeling lately? I didn't know anything. I had nothing to worry about. I was just enjoying my everyday life. My long outstretched shadow gave no answers to my naive inquiry.
ケイチ君、疲れてるのかな
Rena timidly questioned the reason behind my mood. I'm sure my expression made the situation even more unsettling.
そうか？
うん。今朝からケイチ君、なんだか元気ないよ。風邪かな
Physically, I was pretty sure I was in perfect health. It may not have seemed like it, but I've had perfect attendance ever since elementary school. How? I don't get that. I always get sick. Rena continued on since I didn't give her an answer.
きっとケイチ君、引っ越しの疲れが今になってきたんだよ。前に住んでたところとは全然違うところだもん。いろいろ慣れたり覚えたり、疲れて当然だよ。
そうなのかな？
うん、絶対にそうだよ。レナも最初そうだったから、わかるんだよ。
I wondered if Rena also experienced a slight bit of alienation last year that I was feeling right now. Thinking so, I felt like she was the only one who could understand how I felt.
レナがひなみ沢に転校してきた時の話が聞きたいな。どんなだった？
Feeling I had been drawn into the conversation, her face suddenly brightened.
ケイチ君と同じだよ。人の名前も村の中も全然わかんなかった。みーちゃんとかが親切にしてくれたから全然寂しくなかったけど。
Yeah.
やっぱり心細かったよ。
I clicked early, but she kept staying anyway. Rena told me all the details of when she'd moved here. All of her first acquaintances and surprises, worries, and good times.
じゃあ、レナもサトコにやられたのかよ。
うん。椅子に座ろうとしたら画鋲が置いてあったの。どっさり。そしたらそれを懐かしいな。
ミオンの部活にはいつ頃誘われたんだ？早速初日にか？
最初は部活なんてなかったんだよ。
Okay, so the club's kind of a new thing. Okay, now that's also weird though, because then why was Satoshi's name on the card if the club wasn't active before Rena got here?
途中からできたの。放課後にみんなで残ってゲーム大会をやろうって言い出して。
そういえば、ミオン初代部長とか言ってたっけな。納得。
内緒だけどね。みーちゃん最初は弱かったんだよ。
Really?
全然勝てなかった。
Yeah, I know, right? What?
ミオンが？ちょっと想像つかないぞ。
自分で言い出した罰ゲーム、ほとんど自分でやってたんだよ。本当に内緒だからね。
I can't believe Mion was like that. So she gradually transformed into a monster who used any means necessary to win during that time. Mion at her best when she's fighting dirty.
みーちゃん以外ともちょっとずつお友達になれて。でも、ケイチくんが引っ越してきてからかな。ようやくここに馴染めたって自覚したのは。
Yeah, maybe not being the newest person makes a big difference. I guess Rena had also been left in the dark about Oyashiro-sama when she had just moved here. I guess when they finally told me about Oyashiro-sama, I'd be considered one of them.
俺はいつになったら仲間だと認めてもらえるんだろうな。
なんて言ったの？
いや、ごめん。独り言。
ケイチくん変なの。
Rena was poking fun and laughing at me, and I couldn't help but laugh as well. But I suddenly stopped. Then after making up my mind, I spoke.
なあ、レナ。みんなは俺に嘘や隠し事なんかしてないよな。
Interesting.
してないよ、全然。
嘘だろ。
Rena suddenly stopped. Her expression was cold and intense. Oh.
どういう意味だろう？
Oh, did you see that? Do you see that second of just like anger, like genuine anger? Oh my gosh.
ケイチくん。
Her tone was still the same cheery and lighthearted ones before.
してるよな。俺に隠し事を。
Oh, after understanding what I meant, her expression grew even more intense. Sensing my face, I regretted saying something so rash. But she came back at me in a way I didn't expect.
じゃあさ。
Oh no! What the fetch? Are we about to die?
ケイイチくんこそ、レナたちに嘘や隠し事をしてないかな。
Oh no.
え？
Her tone didn't change, but it was the first time I'd seen this expression in Rena. Oh my gosh, what the fetch? Oh, that's the stuff of nightmares! With how her gaze pierced through me, I couldn't believe this was the same Rena. Holy
してないかな。
crap. Die. We're gonna die.
嘘や隠し事、してないかな。
You are secret? She didn't actually say that part, but she looked as if she did. The incident with Tomatake-san and how I felt alienated from the group. Even without having to think about it, they were the things I knew that I felt guilty about. But I didn't tell everyone about what happened to Tomatake-san to be considerate. I was keeping it a secret just the same way they didn't tell me about Oyashiro-sama. Then aren't we even?
してないよ。嘘も隠し事も。
嘘だよ。
Her answer was instant and it shook me. Rena stared as if burrowing through me, watching me like a hawk.
どうして嘘だって？
ケイイチくん、昨日の部活の時、先生に呼ばれて職員室に行ってたって言ったよね。
Oh no.
レナは知ってるよ。ケイイチくんは職員室になんか行かなかった。
I swallowed hard. I clearly wasn't a bluff. She knew what happened.
先生はお客さんが来たって言ったんだよね。でも、昇降口ではお話ししてなかった。
Goodbye, fun time.
校門のところの車の中で、知らないおじさんと。
Rena knew everything. She knew I was called out by Oishi-san and that I heard about the incident with Tomatake-san as well. Did she know all of it?
誰？あのおじさん。
知らない人だよ。
知らない人がなんでケイイチくんに用があるの？
俺が知りたいよ。
じゃあ何の話をしていたの？
みんなとは関係のない話だよ。
It was a lie.
嘘だ
！We are gonna die! Rena's scream echoed through the trees. She sending frightening birds into the air. Couldn't exhale a deep breath I'd just taken. No, it wasn't like that. It was like I wasn't allowed to exhale. It was here I first realized. The person in front of me, she wasn't Rena Ryuju. Then who was it that was standing before me now? Who would have assumed Rena Ryugu's appearance? I held my breath for so long I could feel myself suffocating.
ね？
And then she made a facial expression that Rena normally might have made. It didn't matter that Rena's usual smile, it chilled me to the bone. She drew closer to me. Felt her breath against my face. It wasn't the least bit exciting. Whoever this was with Rena's face was going to chew my nose right off. I cowered as I imagined that. Then she smirked as if she was able to see right through me.
ケイイチくんに内緒や隠し事があるように、レナたちにだってあるんだよ。
It was Rena's usual smile, but her eyes were still like that of a hawk's. Bringing her face close enough to mine to almost bump into my nose, she kindly persuaded me. I couldn't nod or shake my head. The person standing in front of me, this person who looked like Rena, frightened me to my core. I was terrified knowing that she could hear the sound of me swallowing nervously. After what felt like an eternity, after a long, empty silence, she finally spoke.
行こう。
No?
だいぶ涼しくなってきたよ。
I was Rena again. Smiling at me once more, she started walking as if nothing at all had happened. When I was released from her gaze, my legs gave out from under me and I slumped onto the ground. I wasn't able to lift a finger till Rena was out of sight.
あれは誰だったんだよ。
I think that was Rena. I think that was her. Felt cold. My body was drenched in sweat. I was finally able to form a coherent thought and asked myself once again, who was that person who looked like Rena Ryugu? Oh boy. All right, well, never mind. Maybe they are involved. Honestly, if I was in his shoes, I would have told her. I would have told her exactly who he was, and that he told me about. Yeah, I would have just said everything. I would have scared for my life. I was out of it and couldn't bring myself to do anything until dinner except stare blankly into space. I was terrified for Rena going off on me. No, that was not right. That was something else who only looked like Rena. Then who could it have been? It was a dreadful feeling, knowing that there was someone else, not Rena, so tomorrow I shouldn't have a problem talking to Rena like I usually do. That thought was strangely comforting. I concluded that I should just calm down and clear my head, though those thoughts continued swirling around my mind. Finally, I returned to my senses and heard my mother calling out to me from the bottom of the stairs.
Keiichi! 本屋さんから電話よ!
Bookstore? Can't think of why they'd be calling me. No, it's Mion. I went downstairs and picked up the receiver anyway.
夜分遅くに申し訳ありません。
Oh no.
私、沖宮書房の大石と申します。
大石さん？大石さんじゃないですか。
ごめんなさいね。ご両親が出られたので、本屋さんということにしておきました。警察ですって名乗ると、いろいろ気分を害されるでしょうしね。
Yeah. Oishi-san was, in his own way, rather courteous. Even so, I didn't want my parents hearing me talk to the police. I brought the cordless phone with me and I dashed back up to my room on the second floor.
夜分遅くにすみませんですね。実は昨日渡した電話番号のメモ、本当に申し訳ない。これから申し上げる番号を控えておいてもらえますか。
あ、はい。どうぞ。
He gave me the number for his direct line as I wrote it down. I thought it was the end of it, but he began making pointless small talk, and it was pretty hard to hang up.
さて、どうでしょう、前原さん。何か変わったことはありましたか？
It's like he knows. I see. This was the real reason. He really beat around the bush there. His adult conversational skills left me slack-jawed.
大石さんはここの地元の方ですか？
ええ、そうです。生まれも育ちも沖宮ですよ。
If he's from around here, he might know.
大石さん、鬼隠しって何のことか知ってますか？
それはですね、人が鬼にさらわれ、忽然といなくなってしまうことなんです。
Okay.
このあたり独特の言い回しですね。世間様で言う神隠しと同じ意味です。
Whereas my friends would say they didn't know when I asked, this older man gave me a direct answer. It made me a bit happy that he answered me directly without trying to hide anything.
Hinamizawaは、前原さんにこんなこと言っていいんでしょうか。
もったいぶらないでくださいよ。大石さんが言わないなら、俺も何も言いませんよ。
ああ、いやいや、そういう意味じゃないんですよ。ただその気を悪くされないかと思いましてね。実はですね、Hinamizawaはその昔、鬼の住む里って呼ばれて恐れられていたんですよ。
So, the weird stories about Hinamizawa have gone back a while.
鬼って地獄にいる金棒を持った
というよりは人食い鬼ですな。里に降りてきて人をさらって食い散らかしてしまう。なんて怖い昔話があるんですよ。
Demon snatching up people is what this Onikakushi really means.
たたりと鬼隠しは一緒に起こるって言ってましたけど、どういうことですか？
I already knew about the mysterious deaths happening 5 years in a row, but I didn't know there were people disappearing from those same five years.
たたりと鬼隠しが必ず一緒に？それは初めて聞きました。そうなんですか、前原さん。
それは俺が聞きたいですよ。レナとミオンが話してたんです。お社様のたたりなら必ずたたりと鬼隠しが起こるって。
Okay. Oishi-san began humming and hawing at the other end of the receiver. Maybe something about that came to mind?
前原さん、最初の事件ご存知ですよね。
Vaguely.
バラバラ殺人。
ええ。
Oh, the person that vanished was the last culprit.
6人の犯人のうち1人はまだ逃走中なんですよね。
例えばそれ、逃走中じゃなく鬼隠しにあったんじゃないでしょうかね。
Huh? It was an outrageous hypothesis from Oishi-san. The incident 4 years ago was a particularly ghastly one. The police already knew the perpetrators, so they posted tons of wanted posters with his face on them. They stalked out various locations and investigated every possible escape route he had. But after 4 years, there wasn't even a hint of where he might be. Unless the police were completely incompetent. Even if it was an outrageous hypothesis, I couldn't simply laugh it off.
じゃあその翌年の事故はどうです？誘致派の男と妻が一緒に事故死したんですよね。
実はですね、正式には事故死したのは夫だけなんです。妻は死体が上がりませんでしたから。現行法では死体が発見されない限り 行方不明扱いなんですよ。
At the time of the incident, with the river below the cliff being muddy rapids, the police divers had searched every branch of the main stream of the river dozens of miles, but in the end they weren't able to find her body.
でも死体が見つからないだけで亡くなったんですよね。鬼隠しとは違うんじゃないですか？
死体が出ない以上亡くなったとは言えません。法律で定めた年月が過ぎるまで生存扱いなんです。
I'm not sure if it was right to call that being demoned away. Wife was missing. At least that part was reality.
3年目はどうなんですか？神主は病死。
No, we know that one. His wife vanished in the swamp.
妻は自殺ですよ。
前原さん、実はね、これも全く同じなんですよ。
The wife has supposedly thrown herself into the bottomless swamp deep in the forest around Hinamizawa, meaning it's all circumstantial evidence. They simply found her suicide note in front of the swamp. The diver was able to recover a few of her articles, but they weren't able to find a body. The investigation headquarters believed that she'd faked her death and was still alive somewhere.
これらを鬼隠しと呼んでいいかちょっとわかりませんがね。前原さんの言う通り、確かに毎年一人。
This is getting weird.
今年の事件では富武さんの連れの女の人が行方不明。じゃあ去年の主婦の撲殺事件はどうです？誰か行方不明になりましたか？確か犯人は逮捕されたんですよね。
ええ、逮捕されてます。以前に逮捕歴もあるやつでしてね、別件で取り調べ中に犯行を自供してます。ですがですね、犯人逮捕からしばらくして被害者宅の子供が行方不明になったんです。
Perfect.
犯罪に巻き込まれたのかどうなのか、現在も捜査してます。
だって犯人は捕まったんですよね。それともその仲間が？
さあ、多分単独犯だと思います。もっとも今では確かめようもないんですよ。実はその男、取り調べ中に拘置所内でお亡くなりになっちゃいまして。
Oh boy. He swallowed a spork and choked to death. What the fetch? Not knowing whether it was an accident or suicide.
つまり過去5年間必ず死者と行方不明者が一人ずつ出ているわけなんですよね。
Get out of this city!
そうなります。いえね、私も驚いていますよ。こんな共通項には気づきませんでした。
I couldn't believe that this could help lead to the closing of those incidents. It was just something they had in common.
例えば鬼隠しにあって失踪した人には何か共通点があるとか。
Oishi-san mumbled as if he'd been thinking about it. So I summarized the events.
1年目はダムの作業員、2年目は誘致派の男の妻、3年目は神主の妻、4年目は被害者宅の子供で、5年目は交際相手かな。特につながりはなさそうだし。
1年目はともかく妻とか交際相手とかそういう人が目立ちますな。
It does seem like that there are a lot. Then that means the fourth year's victim's child was different. Okay, what if it's this? What if the one who dies is an outsider / enemy to the village, and the one who vanishes is the person who loved them but was technically innocent and was still a member of the village? They couldn't be like not punished, but they also couldn't be just killed outright. It would have to be. It would have really stood out if they were all married couples, except it's not just married couples, but parents and children as well. Come to think of it, I believe Tomatake-san also told me the younger brother is alive and has moved, if I recall correctly.
4年目に行方不明になった子供ってどんなだったんですか？
Oh no.
おとなしい感じの方だったらしいです。年はあなたの一つ上です。
Oh baby, I see where it's going.
名前は北条聡さん。
And he was a member of the club.
え？サトシ？
I remembered that name. Didn't they tell me Satoshi transferred out last year?
あなたの学校に去年まで通っていました。話を聞いていませんか？
Come to think of it, when I transferred in, I believe they said that my seat belonged to a recent transfer student. Then when I sat, once belonged to the one who was demoned away, it was his seat. I recalled the cold sensation that came from that desk. It made my hair stand on end. This string of mysterious deaths, no, Oyashiro-sama's curse, I now knew how it connected to me. That chilling sensation, it was the feeling of Oyashiro-sama caressing the back of my neck.
お社様のたたりか。
Could Oyashio-sama's curse really exist? In all honesty, I was beginning to believe it, and I was scared. That was why I wanted to say it was a plot crafted by man and not the work of a curse. But the more I dug into it, the less likely that seemed. No, the more I dug, the more mysterious it became. If I kept digging, eventually, I'd reach the point where I'd learned something I really shouldn't know. I don't know, boy. I feel like we got there. If Rena was able to reveal that part of herself to us, I'm pretty sure we've already crept past that point. I'm pretty sure we are now target enemy number 1. To either be none the wiser or seek the answer I may regret. Which one would I be happier with? Maybe it'll be me next time. My execution could only be delayed for 1 year. That was when I remembered. Rena. Rena said she may be the next victim of the curse.
竜宮レナさんがですか？去年転校されてきた前原さんのクラスメートですよね。女の子には刺激の強い事件ばかりです。怖がるのも無理ないんじゃないでしょうかね。
It wasn't that. She said it might be her next. She said it in a way that made me think she had a concrete reason behind it.
もっと確信じみたものだったように思います。なんていうのか、
She was frightened. Her sudden change in demeanor, that someone who looked like Rena but wasn't Rena, that might be unrelated. All the strange things that I felt from Rena today came back to me.
そうですか。では、こちらでも少し調べてみます。前原さんも少し竜宮さんの様子に注意してあげてください。
それは、レナを見張れってことですか？
そんな意味ではありませんよ、前原さん。お友達が次の被害者にならないよう、少し気にしてあげてほしいということです。
Right. At that moment, just my mouth was agape because I was so impressed with his mature, clever way with words. Knock, knock. Okay, before we move on, I feel like the biggest mistake he could make, genuinely, is he goes back to school and just pretends everything's normal. Maybe for a little bit, but I feel like we have to have a one-on-one talk with Rena again, and we have to be like, all right, look, cards on the table. Here's what I'm thinking. It's like I don't know if that's the right answer, but I feel like continuing to perpetuate secrets at this stage, when we've essentially been called out for it, would just make it worse. And if we actually are honest, we might be able to get information on ourselves. A sudden knock at the door set my heart racing. In an instant, I had pointlessly covered up the end of the receiver.
Keiichi! ちょっとここを開けてくれ!
On the other side of the door, I heard my father's oddly upbeat voice. What could it be? It's so late.
すみません、親父が来ました。今夜はこれくらいでいいですか？
ええ、夜分遅くに本当に申し訳ありませんでした。何かわかりましたら教えてください。
Right.
こちらも進展がありましたらご報告しますよ。では、失礼します。
Uh-huh.
ケイイチ、早く開けてくれ。父さん、両手が塞がってるんだ。
What is Dad doing? I had stayed in the same position while the phone the whole time, so my joints were aching. When I opened the door, I saw my father standing there with a tray. On that tray, cookies and 2 cups of black tea, fairly fancy spread for my household. There was even sugar and lemon slices on the side, everything you could ask for. This was quite the show of hospitality.
何？父さん、それ、何のつもりだよ。
もう、はぐらかすなよ、ケイイチ。
For what?
入るぞ。
Dad was in high spirits and had a smirk on his face. Oh, does he think we have a girlfriend? And this is supposed to be a celebratory, like becoming a man? But for my entire life, I've never seen him act this hospitable. What had gotten into him?
で、何の話をしてたんだ？
I jumped. It's not something I had to keep from my father. But how could I explain to him I was talking to a detective, I'm assuming he was, this late at night?
別に何も、友達だよ。
電話の話じゃなくて、来てたんだろう、今。
Uh-oh.
レナちゃんが。
Oh no! Oh, that's so bad. Oh, we're so dead. We are dead. We aren't gonna make it through the night. We are screwed. Huh?
来てないよ。
もう、ごまかさなくたっていいぞ。さっきレナちゃんが遊びに来てたじゃないか。だいぶ話し込んでるみたいだったから、お茶でもって思ったら、すれ違いだったんだよ。
She was in our room, probably with a knife. I had no idea what Dad was talking about, but a cold sweat dripped down my back.
どのくらい話し込んでたかな？
レナちゃんが2階に上がったのが半くらいだったから、小1時間くらいかな。
Oh, we're dead. Oh, we're dead. We're dead. We're dead. We're dead.
2階に上がったの、父さん見たの？
ああ、見たよ。ケイイチの部屋は階段を上がって奥の扉だよって声もかけた。
We're so dead. Rena came to my house about an hour ago. Dad met her at the door, didn't call out to me to the second floor. Probably didn't hear him because I was so focused on the conversation with Oishi-san. I didn't reply, but he knew I was in my room, so he had heard her come inside. Then told her my room was on the second floor. She thanked my dad, went upstairs. Then about an hour passed. She passed by my dad just as he was bringing the tea up and left. She came upstairs and an hour passed. Then passed by my dad and returned home. Then after she came upstairs and until after she left, where was Rena? We're dead. We're dead. We're absolutely dead. And actually, oh my gosh, I just had a thought. Okay. What if it's not super sinister? It probably is, and it will become so, but what if it's really her fear? She's convinced she's going to be next to die, right? That she and her family are on the list of being eliminated. But now we're showing signs that we might be an enemy of the village, and maybe she's going to try and point everything to us, because then she will be safe. There's only one short hallway between my room and the stairs, meaning Rena had, for about an hour, in the hall. No, she couldn't have been standing in front of my door all that time. The door to my room wasn't particularly thick. You could easily hear everything being said inside. All of the unsettling and unregarded things I spoke with Oishi-san about began rushing through my head.
お父さん、あまりからかっちゃダメよ。それより、アトリエを片付けて。またこぼすわよ。
Mom yelled up to Dad from downstairs. Dad left the tray with me and went downstairs with a disappointed chortle. I followed my dad out of the room with my eyes and looked down at the floor around the doorway where Rena might have stood at the time. Just now, as I was talking with Oishi-san, with my back turned, Rena was standing a mere 6 feet away the whole time. Oh my gosh! All the time in this dimly lit doorway. What did she see? What did she hear? For what reason? As the steam from the two teacups ominously wafted and twisted, the aroma of black tea filled my room. Well, it was nice knowing Keiichi. I'm sorry, dude, but I think you're done. I do not know if there's any way out of this. Because you can't leave the city. Notice from police chief. Cool. Oh, we're so dead. We are so dead. Lies. Lie to Rena. Oh boy, oh boy. Here we go. Notice from the police chief. July 1st, 1982. Departments 1 through 12. XX Prefecture Police Headquarters. Director General. To the Chief Constable and all facility managers. Regarding cases situated in the Hinamizawa village, notice. As cases in Shishibone City, Hinamizawa village has been reported by certain sections of mass media. It has drawn global attention, which has caused serious repercussions for the local residents. It has become a very serious situation. To protect the livelihood and prosperity of the residents, the following notices have been issued. Number 1. Designate the following criminal investigation as classified. Okinomiya Station, 1982, case number X. Hinamizawa Village Housewife Murder, dated June XX. Okinomiya Station, 1982, case number X. Hinamizawa Village Student Disappearance, dated June XX. Non-disclosure of information. Okinomiya Station, 1979, case number X. Hinamizawa Village Site Foreman Murder, date June XX. Shira Station, 1980, case number X. Shirakawa National Park Falling Incident, dated June XX. Okinomiya Station in 1981, case number X. Hinamizawa Village Shinto Priest's Wife Disappearance, date June XX. 3. Requesting self-restraint from each organization concerning the release of sensitive information. Please see attached reference materials 1, 2, and 3. Management, XX Prefecture Police Headquarters. Internal line, Police Affairs Department. We're dead, we're dead, we're dead. Oh, we're so screwed. We are so screwed. Rena's gonna kill us. Rena is going to show up with a hatchet and we are gonna die. Probably in her treasure yard. I'm convinced it's gonna happen now. No doubt in my mind. I do not see Keiichi getting out of this. Because holy crap, terrifying is the word of the day, and she was sneaking around and listening to us. Now she knows. And again, remember the rules of the club? Win at all costs. If Ren is convinced she's going to lose the game of who's going to survive Watanagashi, and she's determined to make sure somebody else fails so she doesn't fail, she's found her target. Which is really sad, because things really felt like they were going in a positive direction with her. But I think she's terrified. Dang. That's just, I don't even know. But yeah, sure you enjoyed that. I don't even know what to do for that thumbnail. I'm probably gonna do like the really creepy stare for the thumbnail, but because there's so much more to it than just that. But my gosh, what are we supposed to do now? Oh, that's the thing though, is like, with how things are already going right now, will we even last a year? Like, I'm terrified that she's gonna do something way before the year. Oh. But yeah, if Keiichi, honestly at this point, Keiichi's, if he's smart, no more secrets. No more secrets. I think his only hope, if I'm honest, is he tells Rena everything, including who he's talking to. They together maybe even tell the other members of the club exactly what's been going on, the secrets he has, and the things he's learned through other people. And then he should stop talking to the police chief. Let the investigation play out without his interference at all. He's given them more than enough. He should stop there. And maybe he'd survive. It's not gonna happen, but that's what I think he should do. If survival's the key, that's the best path forward, I think. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Ugh. Well, thank you so much for everyone for being here. Thank you so much for joining me for the channel. It's a start to the new year, at least for me. This is the first recording in the new year. So thank you so much. We had a really fun live stream. I'm going to probably chop up some parts of it and release it, though I'm sure the quality is going to be pretty meh because I didn't think to simultaneously record like really crystal clear audio that I could manipulate. So most likely it's going to be a little rough around the edges, but that's okay. I'll know for next time. I'll keep it in mind. But otherwise, it's been really fun. I hope if you haven't seen it and you want to, go ahead and see it. But again, some of the highlights are going to make it into their own little videos. I'm going to just sprinkle throughout this month. And yeah, 2025 is off to a bang. We're going to die. Cool. That's fun. But anyway, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you, especially the patrons and members. I don't deserve you, but I really appreciate your support. Everything you donate goes right back to the channel, just trying to make it as best I can. And hopefully we'll continue to see the channel grow, our community grow, and that 2025 can be a good year. You know, there's a lot of crap that's happening in the world at times, but I want this to be a place where we can always come back and just enjoy a good story together. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next video you watch me, I've seen me next. I'll see you there.